Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Opposition's protests have intensified in the heart of Delhi over exam paper leaks. Leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi and Congress and India Bloc MPs are now heading to Gandhi Smriti on the 30th January mark to remember the students who'd lost their lives after the NEET paper leak and were injured during protests. Just a short while back, I'm going to show you those pictures. They boarded 3 buses. You can see leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi on your screen, and along with other Congress leaders, and they are heading towards Gandhi Smriti, where they will, you can see a lot of Congress leaders over there who are walking and marching up to 30 January mark. Now, just before this bus drive started, barricades were set up outside Gandhi's house after the opposition MPs reached there for a meeting this afternoon. Now, soon after the meeting ended, Congress leader announced their plan to visit Gandhi Smriti less than a kilometer away. Now, visuals showed Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and other lawmakers also boarding 3 buses. What we are told is that apparently they must have reached by now because it's not too far, and you can see the big crowd of leaders. They are India Bloc leaders, I'm told. And but just before this Rahul Gandhi's residence meeting happened, and they decided to go to the Gandhi Smriti, there was a circular which became viral, and that was a circular which was issued by the New Delhi Traders Association. Let's put out the copy of that letter, and it ordered the closure of all the shops in and around the Jantar Mantar area around the Connaught Place. Now, this is a very weird sort of a letter, which is on the the letterhead of New Delhi Traders Association. And what does it what does it show? As advised by the chairman NDMC and vice chairman NDMC, telephonically looking at the critical situation around CP, it has been strictly advised that all shops and establishments, including offices and restaurants in Connaught Place, New Delhi, shall close for the day by 6:30 p.m. today, that is 23rd of July. All establishment owners, occupiers are requested to cooperate and ensure strict compliance with the above directions to avoid any unpleasant situation and save yourself from any loss of property and injury. Now, this, if you read this circular very carefully, it goes to show that apparently the police is preparing for some sort of a crackdown. Last evening also we saw that there were tear gas shells again lobbed on the students, and there was an internet shutdown. All of a sudden it happened. How it happened, nobody knew. But these were the pictures from yesterday, what happened at Jantar Mantar. And there is a deadlock between Cockroach Janata Party and the government, because JP Nadda today came out and said that I am free to talk to the Cockroach Janata Party people, provided that they can come to my home or my office. And the Cockroach Janata Party leaders have said that they will not meet any person from the government at their office or residence. It is either they meet them at Jantar Mantar or at a neutral venue. Now, since that time, we've not heard. Early morning today, Prime Minister Modi had put out a tweet saying that he is thinking of setting up fast-track courts to speed up the prosecution in the NEET paper leaks. Obviously, this is too little, too late. But which way are these things heading? And now that the opposition has stepped up its protest, now today India Alliance has stepped up its protest. They are going to Gandhi Smriti, and they are remembering those 20 lives which were lost because the students died by suicide. And this is surely something from which the government is running away. It doesn't want to talk about. In fact, there is not a word of condolence or any sort of a tribute to any of these students who died by suicide. So obviously, when this optics plays out, it corners the Modi government big time. So we'll try and discuss as to which way this thing is heading. And this damage control, which has been applied by Prime Minister Modi and the government, is actually not working because the students have gone completely against the government. No amount of assurances are working for these students. So, joining me this evening is former IPS officer and former Chief Information Commissioner and Securities Secretary. Thank you so much. Yashovardhan Azad joins us this evening. We have Professor Ajay Gudawardi from Jawaharlal Nehru University. Thank you so much for joining. And we have Pushparaj Deshpande, author and policy expert, also joins us. I think he's got disconnected. Let me begin with Mr. Azad. This order, which is regarding the closure of the shops, do you think that this is a preventive measure, or this is like a psychological pressure which is being applied on the students and the people who are in the nearby areas?
No, I think this is an NDMC order, and I have a feeling that this has been directed by the police, that in case of an untoward action, there should not be any kind of a looting of shops or any kind of a violence. This had happened, if you recall, there were some incidents on petrol pumps and other places on Tolstoy Marg. So that is why. So which means that the police is expecting some kind of a fallout, because even I believe last night at 2:30 or 3 a.m. there were people who were sending food. There was a lot of activity. There were CRPF stationed with tear gas shells and guns. So I think it's a kind of a precautionary measure.
Indeed, looks like a precautionary measure, but does it also not indicate of some sort of a possible police crackdown? Because since yesterday we've been hearing various reports that the government wants the Jantar Mantar area totally vacated. They want to disperse the crowd which has collected at Jantar Mantar, and the crowd has consistently been streaming over there. So, could there be a possible crackdown as well by the police?
Well, I don't think the government would risk another kind of police lathi charge, because it leads to a lot of complications. As long as the place there is restricted, it's remains within that ring and closed ring, it's fine. But if it sort of propels out, you see, the question is, it's an impasse. Uh, there is, for the government also, what their approach is too little and too late. Even if the Prime Minister has given out something on Twitter, I wish he had done it on the first day of the crisis. At that time, it was government's brazenness or hubris, or just taking it lightly. कि ठीक है, ये तो होता रहता है, चल जाएगा, कोई बात नहीं है, because the earlier sit-in was about 2 or 3 days. But this got resonance across the country. This is actually a youth agitation. Yes, the opposition parties might take advantage, rowdy elements might come in, outsiders may come in, but it has really ignited a kind of a feeling amongst the youth that yes, there are no jobs. Yes, the education is a crisis. I mean, the education has a deeper architectural, structural problem across the states, which they cannot fix unless the Prime Minister starts talking to the chief ministers कि भाई ये coaching mafia बंद करो, ये transfer mafia बंद करो, ये teacher mafia बंद करो. There are too many basic issues. They don't want to do it. They want to sort of talk about it. Then look at NEET 2024. I mean, that Radhakrishnan Commission gave all the recommendations. Nothing was done. The IS cabal still rules, whereas the educationists are saying कि भाई हमें बुलाइए, हमने लाखों एग्जाम कंडक्ट किए हैं, give it to us and we'll do it. So what is the government going to tell them? And even a symbolic gesture of throwing out a thoroughly incompetent minister, you're not doing because you feel that हम नीचे दिख जाएंगे. So, in this situation, this is the kind of hide and seek you will play. The police will be all prepared when we have to do a crackdown. And the CJP also, they don't know. They are also basically leaderless. Now, what are the things we say? So I think while they are waiting for a nationwide strike, I think they have given for 24 to see the strength. And police is trying to sort of make it ineffectual. That is the situation.
In fact, there's an alert coming, and I'll come to you again, Mr. Azad, for that. The latest alert by Reuters, it's a flash by Reuters, which says India has ordered telecom firms to disable mobile data services in central parts of the Delhi in and around the site of youth protests. Sources told Reuters. companies are complying. There's no data internet around Taj Hotel, India Gate, and central parts of
No,
Delhi.
even
Now,
even Nizamuddin area of mine in Delhi, we were
right.
told that there is no internet.
Okay. Now, but should the citizens be subjected to this sort of an inconvenience? And I'm calling it inconvenience, Mr. Azad, because, like for example, Delhi Metro Corporation had put out a tweet saying that all the 16 stations of in and around central Delhi will be closed. Then they opened it up because the office goers were reaching their offices. But what has happened in the evening is a complete chaos. I want to show you those visuals. Some viewer was watching one of my early evening programs and he sent it to me. And this is a scenario at the metro station. Now, this is, I think, some metro station, Central Secretariat or somewhere, where people are waiting in hordes. All the metro gates have been closed. Now, why this inconvenience? In the morning, the ID cards of the people were being checked. The people were allowed to board the metro. They were allowed to enter their offices. And now, when it is time for all of them to go back home, all the metro gates have been closed. There are no bus services. There are no cabs available. What does that go to show, Mr. Azad?
Well, it's a kind of a panic situation, and what you call a lack of proper assessment and a lack of assurance, self-assurance that you'll be able to, control crowds which are coming to Jantar Mantar. I mean, that's exactly the idea of closing. In fact, Supreme Court had also said something about the metro stations. But I do understand that the Delhi administration is in a bind. They don't know what to do because they don't know how much of crowd is going to come. Should they open everything? Will it lead to a kind of more and more infiltration inside the Janpat area? Will there be more rowdy elements? Will they attack the police? So I think it's on edge. And as I told you, as far as the talks go, it's a kind of an impasse from both sides.
All right. So the talks are ending in an impasse. Pushparaj Deshpande also has joined us. Thank you so much, Pushparaj, for joining us. But let me go to Ajay Gudavarti. Now, opposition, the India Alliance has stepped up its protest as we speak. The India Alliance leaders are at Gandhi Smriti. Now, do you think that the leaders, the police will again detain the India Alliance leaders? That day, Rahul Gandhi was detained along with so many other Congress leaders. Can they do that? Can they do a repeat of what happened day before?
Well, that's difficult to guess, Neelu, but I think there is an unwarranted panic situation by the government. I think government's role should be to scale down the panic, but the government is playing exactly the reverse role. That they're trying to enhance the panic, which actually does not exist. And if you know, I've been to the protest site, and students are fairly in a very humorous, celebratory mode, even as they're assisting and on protest. So I have a sense that these are the students who are reasonable. One can easily enter into a dialogue. They have a very minimalist demand of resignation of, which is actually an escape route for the government. Because if they raised more serious issue of NTA abolition and, as Mr. Azad was pointing out, raise for coaching, economy, corruption, so on and so forth, government would have been on a spot. Protesters have actually given you something easy on the platter, saying that, get rid of the minister who is incompetent. And even then, the government has decided to scale up the issue. I mean, that's something which is, as of now, is inexplicable. Why would you want to close down the metros? Why would you want to shut down the internet? And you're going on showing as if it's an emergency situation, which is a massive security situation, which is also not working for them in terms of the narrative. That, there's nobody who's buying this argument on the ground. Now you cannot, it's too late to call these students Pakistanis, Gundas, Khalistanis, and whatever. The usual toolkit the government has been using for quite some time. So even the narrative is out of control. So I think it's best for them. I mean, and Mr. Modi will come in a better light if he is to step outside his comfort zone and begins to dialogue, with both the opposition parties as well. And it will look dignified and in the fit of things of the post that he holds. So one should really look for an explanation. Why would this government be interested in scaling up this issue at such a massive scale? That when these protests are not even just restricted to Jantar Mantar, they've spilled over all over India. You have protests in Ranchi, in Hyderabad, in Kolkata, in Mumbai.
Now, Ajay, I'll just interrupt you here. Just look at this tweet by Delhi police. Delhi police urges all citizens to exercise caution while consuming and sharing information on social media. Responsible digital behavior begins with verifying facts through official channels before forwarding any content. Now, what does that go to show?
How does you verify on Grok or what? Pushpraj might tell us.
Now look at this. There's a fake news alert also. Reports circulating on social media claiming the death of a female protester at Jantar Mantar are entirely false and misleading. Yeah, we never floated this report. I know what it's talking about because there were reports that apparently a girl has died. No, but yes, that's fake news. But Mr. Azad, why is Delhi police panicking so much
I said,
and
they are
also
under.
sermonizing on digital behavior?
No, so, Professor Gudavarti is so right that, if only Mr. Modi would have, sort of shed his hubris and in Man Ki Baat would have just apologized, his stature would have gone up. He would have just said कि बेटे हमसे गलती हो गई है, हम इसको दुरुस्त करेंगे. आप बताइए कि हमें क्या-क्या करना चाहिए. And there are string of things, which you can do straight away. As and he's right, professor is right again when he said that unki maang kya thi bhai, what were they asking for? They were asking for resignation of an incompetent minister. Ditch him. In any way, in cabinet reshuffle you were dropping him. Now because the boys have said it, you're not dropping him. So why this kind of high horse standing or whatever you call it? It's not necessary. It's not necessary at all.
Absolutely. And before I come to Professor Ajay, I would like to show you another poster, and that is the big call for tomorrow. And Shubham, if you're there backstage, if you can play that out, it's a nationwide call for peaceful protest. Every district, one day, one demand. That's what the poster says. And if you look at it very carefully, Friday, 24th of July, 2026, stand in solidarity with victims of police brutality in across India. What and how to do. Now, gather and organize. This is what the poster says, that gather and organize. Student unions and other organizations should collaborate and work together for permission and logistics. Read out the demands in front of the full gathering. Read out the students' demands aloud. Show solidarity to those who faced police brutality. Detailed SOP, collaterals, and memorandum template available at www.cockroachjantaparty.com. And protests 101. Inqilab Zindabad, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. That's the call they have given. Yes, Professor Ajay.
Yeah, this is what, Neelu, I mean, this is completely ridiculous, that you're creating as if there is a border now at the Jantar Mantar, as if there is going to be a nuclear attack or something. This is completely childish to say a government of this size, a leader who has been admired, I mean, to do this is slightly inexplicable, and one is forced to read between the lines. Is there a larger story? Is it now one is almost compelled to read? The government seem to want a crisis. I mean, there could be other reasons why a government wants a crisis of this kind. It's not that the government is interested in resolving it, but maybe government is smelling a different kind of a chance and different kind of an opportunities in raking up the crisis, and one does not know what that is. One will only know once it unravels. Is it they are scared?
Professor Ajay, there can be another way of looking at it. You are saying that the government maybe is wanting to look at the things some other way, but this also could be the fact that nothing is working for the government. Nothing seems to be working. All the olive branch they have extended so far, that okay, we are ready for the dialogue, and you can come to our office. All that is not working. And again, the Congress Party has given a nationwide call tomorrow.
But Neelu, it's such a normal, everyday thing for ministers to resign. Shivraj Patil resigned when there was an attack, Mumbai attack, terrorist attack, and nobody battled an eyelid. Nobody even thought second time. Home minister. This is just an education minister. He was a home minister. He resigned, and people forgot in a week's time, and things move on. What is the big deal in a minister resigning and he's also incompetent for the government? I mean, if he's not able to manage exams, he's not able to manage CBSE, it's not now. And these are exams come every year. It is not a one-off issue. So there will be another crisis tomorrow. So even in the interest of the government, it is good. And another way, if they don't want to go in for resignation, suppose, let them do a cabinet reshuffle and shift him. Bring in Nirmala Sitaraman, bring in, I mean, they don't have too many competent, that's another problem, but whoever is competent, whoever they think is the best, maybe Prime Minister himself can take on the education. I mean, there are so many ways which you can diffuse because these students are still so reasonable. If you have seen
Right.
those interactions of confrontation on the site, even when the police are lathi charging, they're requesting, they're being polite, they're saying, Sir, aap kyun maar rahe ho? They're standing there. No, what more can one expect from citizens who are facing such deep distress if they are being
Right.
reasonable? Government sitting with so much of power being so unreasonable and losing all the narrative and legitimacy is something simply beyond explanation.
Let me come to Pushpa. Why do you think that the government is running out of options? It's running out of breath, actually. Forget the options. It's running out of breath, it seems. It's I mean, what has happened to the advisors of Modi government? What has happened to all the ministers? What has happened to the IT cell, the spokespersons? All have gone into a slumber, it seems. Nothing seems to be working for Modi government currently.
Neelu, very good evening to you, our panelists, and our viewers. See, I personally don't think that the BJP government has any option. It's backed itself into a corner because of its conduct in the last 12 years. It sees accountability and transparency as a sign of political weakness. And course correction for this government has always been a political suicide. So they are not going to back down. I disagree with Professor Gudavardi. Normally, if it were the UPA government or any other government in the last 75 years, yes, they would have perhaps been responsive to legitimate demands from the people and back down, course corrected. Because that, as you said, would have been, as Professor Gudavardi said, would have been an easy way to remove the sting from the protest, be seen to be responsive and accountable. This government can't do that. You have to understand that this government has built up this Teflon coated image on the basis of the fact that nothing that we do is wrong. Everything that we do is in the national interest. For the first time in 12 years, we have seen multiple protests in the last 12 years. In fact, 2021, I was really surprised to saw 14,600 demonstrations in India alone. We became the global epicenter for demonstrations. I mean, it's also a sign about the fact that this government is so unpopular that it continues to, the scale of demonstrations only keeps going up. But the government does not feel the need to respond to them because it is extremely confident about the fact that it can manufacture electoral mandates. So let's be very clear about that one thing. It cannot back down. It will not back down. The second thing is, and I find the fact this generation, I mean, I used to be very skeptical of, I mean, perhaps it's an ageist thing, but this generation I was very skeptical of, Gen Z. But this generation has managed to disrupt comprehensively the common sense ideas that the BJP government embedded, to borrow from Gramsci, the common sense values and ideas, normative ideas that the government embedded. The fact that it only works for development, the fact that sabka saath sabka vikas, the fact that Prime Minister Modi is, this father figure for the country. All of these ideas and narrative, this generation has debunked through these protests. Now, the fact of the matter is that the BJP government doesn't have, for the first time, a counter response. And mind you, the modus of this protest, this generation's communications is Instagram. This is the same thing that bit the UPA government in 2014. At that time, the Congress was on Facebook, the BJP was on Twitter. And then, of course, the Congress spent a lot of time catching up on Twitter and so on and so forth. By the next election, 2019, the BJP shifted to YouTube. The Congress took time to catch up with it. For the first time, now the BJP has been outmaneuvered by this Gen Z, who are now on Instagram. And they just don't know how to handle this. And the thing is that no matter how much they clamp down, you have to realize that this has become larger than CJP. It has become larger than any individual, including Sonam Wangchuk. It has become larger than the Congress party or the India Gathbandhan. It is now created, it has become a circus of democracy. I mean, I shouldn't be using the word circus, but a sort of a lively theater of democracy. It spread everywhere. And the BJP's response is sheer panic. Do you know what they did today across the country? The BJP thinks that the Congress, and I know this, I shouldn't be, I wouldn't take the name, but very senior bureaucrats in the government, from the PMO, from the Home Ministry, are openly saying that the government thinks that this entire thing is a Congress conspiracy. Now, I don't want to comment on whether it is or not, but they decided that the only way to take this on is to discredit the Congress party. So throughout the country, they've been attacking Congress offices. Today, I was along with civil society and the Congress party. We were called to the Congress office in Kolhapur here, and BJP sent 150 people with MLCs, with MLAs, sitting ministers. You won't believe it, sitting ministers marching. Obviously, the police barricaded them, saying that we don't want any law and order problem, because they were. And by the way, mind you, they also managed to get a truck full of bricks close by, just in case they wanted to throw at the Congress office. All of this they are doing just to discredit Congress, the leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi. Now, the fact of the matter is, as you saw in his press conference yesterday, he kept saying that I am just a voice. I am just the expression of the people's voice. I'm doing my constitutional duty by raising their voice in the parliament and at the prime minister's residence. That's my constitutional job. I am not irrelevant to this entire process. And trust me, I think Gen Z has heard that sound. And in fact, I personally think this entire Aam Aadmi Party thing, I mean, I don't know why they are doing it, because they were still part of the India bloc. This entire thing that my protest is somehow better than yours, and that you are trying to hijack this protest, it's not flying. It is not flying. People are actually beginning to see that the BJP government was clamping down on them. Their voices and their issues are being raised by the right person in the right fora, whether it's in parliament or in the prime minister's residence. This particular thing, to sum it up, is only going to escalate. My thinking is that it is going to be much more creative, much more disruptive, something that we have not seen before, because this generation has absolutely no interest in minding hierarchies or towing the official line. This generation is completely it's so creative. I mean, I'm actually excited. Everyone is very excited about what is going to happen next.
Yeah, actually, and I'm also excited and waiting as to what is going to happen tomorrow. Anchal Gupta also joins us, who's a researcher with Yuva Halla Bol. Anchal, what can we expect tomorrow? Tomorrow is the big nationwide call which Cockroach Janata Party has given. What I'm seeing on various alternative media platforms is that some bulletproof cars are plying on the road, and I think Mr. Azad will be able to shed more light on that. Have we seen ever things like this? Truckloads of stones, bricks, bulletproof cars, as if a complete war zone has been created. Yes, Anchal.
Maybe first of all, my sincere apologies to you and to all the panelists for being late on the show. I want to say here a very simple thing, that this speaks volumes of the government's own proclamations earlier, that we are hell-bent on maintaining national security and having one of the strongest structures of national security inside and outside. That just in order to cater to the genuine, legitimate democratic demands of the students, they have to put up paramilitary forces and tear gas and water cannons, and all kinds of paramilitary battalions are being called everywhere. So this clearly, I mean, a very legitimate and logical question answers, like, what was your intelligence doing, or what was your internal security apparatus doing, if these bunch of young Indians have become such a national security threat to you? So this is just a face-saving measure. They are trying every tactic in the book to somehow show to their core constituency, to which they have always projected an image of very strong men, and they are mostly men who rule here. That somehow we have to show that no, whatever their vision of a whatever Rashtra or whatever is there, it still stands, and all these are some anti-nationals who have collaborated with the Congress and so, because they threw so many labels over the years at them. At the heart of the matter, it is that now the sheer numbers of people that are there across so many districts of the country, and as Pushparaj ji has often mentioned in your shows before as well, there are over 800 districts in the country, and if tomorrow in every single district of the country there is a protest, I mean, of course, in some of them it could be smaller in numbers, but even if a few hundred districts have protests of sufficiently large magnitude, that would be historic. And the other thing being that I believe this generation did not give two hoots about this, people I believe who are below 27, 28, because they were largely protected from that kind of a propaganda that existed 6, 7 years ago. That, national security is a threat of, national security threats always exist. And in every single democratic protest by any or every group in the country is some kind of a national security threat. And everything is funded either by Pakistan or China or Soros. These three distinct groups or whatever. I don't know. Mr. Soros he must be feeling all the time. Like, I have not heard my own name by my own family this many times that I've heard from the government of India over the last few years, or their functionaries or whatever. Anyways, coming to the point, as I was mentioning in an earlier program of yours as well, and in fact, the other panelists corrected me, I was also thinking that some kind of a crackdown or some kind of very stringent measures might be taken by this government, but I don't think that kind of a possibility realistically exists anymore, because far too much numbers of people are there all across the country. It has already almost metamorphosed into a nationwide movement of people in general. It's not Gen Z, it's not Gen Y, it's not Gen X. I don't even know what are the dates through which we demarcate all these generations. It's just human beings who believed in the idea of India, who
Right.
believed in the idea of the
I think
sacrifices of our
right.
freedom movement fighters, of our forefathers,
I
foremothers,
think
that, this is how we fight.
okay. I think Pushpraj wanted
No,
to
no,
make
let
a
him
point.
finish. Let Anshul finish. Let Anshul finish. I
No,
wanted to add
I'm
one.
done.
Finish.
Yeah.
Fully
Yeah,
done.
go ahead, Pushpraj. Go ahead.
No, what he's saying, this one point I just wanted to add, it's a very small thing. Today, when we were protesting outside the Congress Bhavan in Kolhapur with civil society and Congress party, you won't believe it. We were on the road and we were waiting for BJP. We were actually worried about whether there's going to be a clash, but there was a lot of nervous energy because people were not just angry about what is happening, but they were also wanting to protect their own party headquarters, so on and so forth. It's legitimate. You won't believe it. Every single car, we were close to a traffic intersection. Every single car, every single scooter, every single auto stopped and said, "Aap jo kar rahe ho, karte raho. We are with you." And I kid you not, two I don't know if you know what ST buses are. They're like the public buses here. Two buses stopped right there, and at least 60-70 people in each bus came out and stood with us simply because of the fact that they felt that we want to join in support of the students and what is happening. I mean, I'm telling you, I've organized and helped in the organizing of hundreds of protests across for various this thing. Not to take trumpet my own horn, but just to help others. It has been very difficult to mobilize people. To mobilize 500 people in Jantar Mantar is a huge headache. It takes at least a couple of months to do that because you have to beg people, convince them, and still follow up. For us to be able to get people just because we are standing there and on an issue that is touching them, because they feel that this is about their children, that what is happening now is destroying the one silver bullet that you have to escape the caste, class, religious variables that hold people down. And if that is being destroyed, I'm telling you, the kind of simmering anger that there is against the BJP right now, it is unprecedented. I have not seen this in 20 years of my political activism, political ideological activism.
Absolutely. In fact, I was about to ask Mr. Azad that, the role of police and police brutalities is something for which the nationwide call has been given tomorrow. People are talking about whether, these policemen, they have a conscience, whether that conscience is actually pricking them with what they are doing. I'm sure they are doing it at the direction of the be all and end all of all this government. But how does one reconcile to the fact that these accessories which have begun to become visible, like truckloads of bricks, stones, bulletproof cars? This is what few I cannot verify that, but few platforms have been talking about the fact that there are bulletproof cars roaming around in and around that area of Jantar Mantar and CP. How does one reconcile to all that? I mean, is this normal? Is it like a normal SOP for police in a situation like this?
नीलू, लेट्स लीव पुलिस. ये पुलिस ब्रुटैलिटी, लाठी चार्ज, ये तो हर विरोध प्रदर्शन के बाद होता है. पुलिस को फिर गाली पड़ती है, उसके बाद ये तो होना ही है, ये होगा. हर विरोध प्रदर्शन में बाहर के लोग सम्मिलित हो जाते हैं. This is something usual. The actual fault is political. It's the state power. Police is just an instrument. It's the state power which is exhibited. And you know what? It is suiting the state that the focus of the debate is shifting to police brutality and not the incompetence of the government to handle the issue. And that's something which Pushpraj said very eloquently. कि भाई जो issue है, this generation, and both of them said very nicely, this generation couldn't care a damn भाई कि आप कौन हो, नहीं हो, प्रधान. अरे भाई हमारा issue है, इसको तुम solve करो. And you know what this agitation needs? Today, this agitation is a milestone. in the last 12 and a half years of this regime, which has shown that for the first time it has brought them on the brink. And why it has? Because it is science party, science ideology, science leftism, rightism, pure youth power. And you know why they are scared? Because this is raising the most fundamental problem of a rotten educational system, which consists of the entire problem created by the politicians. It's the education mafia of Bihar. It is where one Congress chief minister fought against it. His name was Bhagwat Azad. It is the teachers mafia. It is the coaching mafia. Which chief minister has the guts to fight them? Tell me. This is what we need in the country, that the prime minister talks to the chief ministers. Those days of giving speeches is over. So the Gen Z, or whatever you call, Anchal is right, they are not interested. Aap kuch bhi bhashan do, national power, national security. Up to now, even Pakistan must be feeling sad that they have not been able to infiltrate. And these are young guys, and we couldn't do anything about it. So those things are gone. This is an impasse, and I don't think government has a solution to it. So this preventive army will be there. They will all be there. But somebody was right. I think Anchal said it कि ऐसा risk अब नहीं लेंगे, because वो इस बार जो होगा तो blood bath हो जाएगा. So I don't think they'll try their best to restrain themselves. And the CJP is also testing their strength. See what happens in the district. All they need, and mark my words, is one Jayaprakash Narayan. They don't want a political kind of, they want a JP Narayan. Where it comes from, I don't know.
Pushparaj, coming to you, is the government really failing to read this sentiment? It's almost like a revolution. And can't the government really see through? They are trying to damage control, but it's not working. So what about the advisors? And why is the government not worried that the ground can slip beneath their feet?
Obviously, the government is very worried, Neeluji. The fact that they are now scrambling to announce special courts 10 years too late, frankly, 152 paper leaks last 10 years. And the fact that they are now beginning to take corrective steps, NSA, internet shutdowns, all of these. They're very worried about how this is going to escalate. But I'll tell you what the problem is. The structural problem here is that the message that has gone to the students, to the youth of the country, is that A, the government is not listening to us. B, the courts are not listening to us. And in fact, that is a very dangerous precedent that the courts have set, both the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court. Yes. Ideally, one of them should be taking suo motu cognizance. Instead of doing that, they're saying that we don't have the time to do this. Now, at a time when the young people of this country, and mind you, 65% of India is below 35. Now, at a time when 65% of the population gets the message loud and clear that neither the government nor the institutions that are supposed to protect your civic rights and freedoms are interested in listening to you, what happens and how are they going to vent their anger? Please have a look, just do a cursory Google search, have a look at how they have been barricading, stopping, beating up BJP legislators, including ministers in state after state. I'm telling you, this is if this continues and the government does not take corrective steps to redress this particular impression that they've already sent out, this is going to let loose vociferous and centrifugal forces across India. And this is not just dangerous for the BJP government. This is dangerous to the constitutional fabric of India, because people, trust me, are going to start taking things into their hands. And this is something that every person across party lines wants to avoid. Because if the democratic superstructure that you have built up for the last 75 years suddenly stops functioning, and if people lose faith in that democratic superstructure, what is going to happen? It's going to be complete chaos and anarchy. And none of us want to be in that situation like Nepal and Bangladesh. And trust me, it is not the students, it is this government which is pushing the country towards that particular kind of situation. Yeah, Neeluji.
Okay, I'll take the concluding comments now from Anchal. Anchal, so what would you really say towards the end? I mean, it's a bizarre sort of a situation now. Can the government really handle? Can we expect some sort of a surprise? What can we expect tonight and also over the day tomorrow?
We think a situation could occur where, under the guards for cabinet reshuffle, Mr. Pradhan could be removed temporarily and he could be brought back in a few months' time while the government tries to change the narrative. Because these are the kind of tactics that this government has employed in the past. And the Prime Minister once again could come out teary-eyed on the television, national television, saying that I was not able to explain my true motive behind NTA to all the students, like I was not able to explain the 3 laws to the
It will be Dhurandhar,
community.
Anchal. It will be
And
Dhurandhar Part 3. This will be all.
yeah,
This will all come in
That
Dhurandhar
is
Part 3.
coming. Yeah, that is coming. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
Soon
that,
to be
sorry.
that would
released.
work. And then perhaps, but this time the way
You are saying that the Prime
opposite
Minister
party,
might become teary-eyed, but some people have been saying, what if Prime Minister declares an emergency? Even that is possible, Anchal.
That won't work.
I
Okay, so
don't
you're saying
think
that
so.
won't
I
work.
mean,
Yes.
India already is one of the most unique experiments in all of human history. We are a 1.46 billion population with the level of area and the level of diversity that anything like that in today's information age, where information spreads far too quickly and people are far more materially already possessed, and materially they have far more benefits and they have far more knowledge. This may have happened during like 25 years of civil war in China from the 1920s to 1940s, and then People's Republic of China took over mainland China, and that kind of a thing occurred there. Nowadays, these kind of things just, I don't think so, can occur. And if this government tries to do anything, something like that, they'll be shooting themselves in the foot. Yes, the danger does lie, like very small glimpses were seen yesterday and day before yesterday at Jantar Mantar as well, that when some of the paramilitary personnel tried to provoke the common protesters, and some of the protesters come from rural backgrounds, less educated backgrounds, they are not that trained or not that, I'm not saying that lack of education in any way means lack of civility, but what I'm trying to say is that some of them carry their emotions on their sleeves. And when they saw that without any provocation, we are just silently standing, and some of them provoked them, and then they started, throwing bricks at them and stones at them, which they shouldn't have done, unless, of course, it came down directly to protecting themselves, protecting their bodies. So things could go out of hand in a situation where the government says that no, we are going to further go down that path of severe crackdown. It could really boil up the situation, and it could even result in some casualties, which we all hope doesn't occur, because this government would be shooting themselves in the foot for their own future. But it could, temporarily, for a brief period of time, make things really volatile for our country and for our economy as well. Because let's face it, the war is still going on there in the Middle East, and Trump government is already, constantly on the head of this government saying you have to sign that interim deal, and that interim deal is directly against the farming community, the
Right.
the dairy community, and the MSME community of this country. So it's going to directly impact the biggest workforce of this country. So
Right.
anyhow,
Let
economically
me
looking
right.
headwinds.
Let me just take a quick
All things are
concluding
connected here.
comment. Yeah, quick concluding comment from Mr. Azad about tomorrow's nationwide call, and maybe tomorrow everybody is very anxious as to what is going to happen. Yes, Mr. Azad.
I have a feeling that, and I agree with both our panelists, that the situation actually has gone out of hand. What has been done by the government is, as I said, too little and too late. So it's just that, they are waiting and watching for the thing to break. The different narratives are being spelled out. For example, that it's a leaderless, yeah, there are outside elements. But I don't think the spirit of the movement is going to change. And tomorrow, when the bench strength is tested, I think there is going to be a serious problem. Because even now, the government has not offered anything. For example, I'll tell you, there were some very low hanging fruits like 22 crores. Can't you give 1 crore to those families of those students who died? That could have been done. That could have been a very. And the other thing, I'll tell you, it's time that the PM should come down from his high horse. His prestige will be enhanced when he talks in Man Ki Baat openly कि बच्चे हमारे से गलती हो गई है, and we will fix the system. I assure you, once he talks like that, I think that will be more of an appeal than thousands of meetings and parlays and things.
Mr. Azad, when he tweeted this morning, he said that we cannot play around with the future of our students, and that's why he's setting up the fast track courts. But that didn't sound convincing,
No,
because I heard the people from Popular
Neelu,
Janata Party, they were saying that this is a band-aid solution which he's offering.
Neelu, fast track courts are there for MPLA corruption. Those people are abound in parliament. They are there for women's issues. They are there for, so many cases. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a question of honest ambition. You have to come down like those students are, natural, absolutely sensitive, and plain speak truth. That's the way to do it. There is no other way.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, because it's not a political protest.
Absolutely. So this is a situation in the country which is almost like reached a boiling point. Everybody is anxious as to what is going to happen. At the same time, there is a jubilation because for 12 years, the people who were not speaking today, they found a voice for their anger, for their expression. So there are lots of things for which one has to look forward to. But what's going to happen tomorrow and tonight, probably we'll have to wait and watch. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, Pushparaj, Anchal. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.